I am not a nuclear physicist or even a college graduate. I am a retired school bus driver. Like most people, I have been living with the fear of a nuclear doomsday extinction event my whole life. I remember the intense fear of my family and neighbors during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when Americans truly believed that a civilization ending nuclear war was imminent. I have recently watched several conspiracy theorists on YouTube claiming that nuclear weapons are a hoax. They show actual videos of the U.S. Army stacking 102 tons of dynamite in crates just prior to the first atomic detonation of a nuclear bomb at Trinity Test Site in Nevada. The official reason for this dynamite was to detonate it to measure the explosion in order to compare it to the atomic explosion that would take place a few months later. These conspiracy theories insist that the successful test of the first atomic bomb was actually the dynamite being detonated, that some switch took place designed to deceive the world into believing that America had an atomic bomb. These same conspiracy theorists claim the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were faked, that those cities were actually firebombed. I found their suspicions credible after viewing the video of the bomb sites along with the testimony of experts saying it was impossible to distinguish the damage and destruction of those two cities from other Japanese cities that were firebombed, including Tokyo. The fact that Hiroshima and Nagasaki recovered quickly and completely and are beautiful green cities today only reinforces their argument. Having thought about nuclear weapons, I have come to the conclusion that nuclear weapons do not work. My reasons are based on these three examples. Example 1. If there is a forest of 10,000 acres that is drought-stricken and you only want to burn 10 acres of the forest, you cannot just light a match and hope that the fire will only burn 10 acres and then go out. The fire will continue to burn until it runs out of fuel. In the same way, before the alleged successful detonation of an atomic bomb, scientists argued that once you started a chain reaction in the atmosphere, it would burn up the entire atmosphere of the planet because the chain reaction would never run out of fuel, and there would be no way to control it once it began. Example 2. Another problem can be illustrated with a pressure cooker. If you put water in a pressure cooker and turned the heat on high and left it, eventually the pressure cooker would crack. When the pressure cooker cracks, steam would be released. The greatest buildup of energy would be the instant before the pressure cooker cracked. Once the pressure cooker cracks, the buildup of energy would subside and never build up again. Example 3. A nuclear power plant works by using uranium or plutonium fuel rods to boil water. This creates steam, which turns turbines, creating electricity. The fuel rods are inserted into a pool of water. The controlled chain reaction is created by bringing uranium or plutonium fuel rods close together so that the atomic particles would break apart and hit other subatomic particles, causing them to break apart. This process goes on, doubling the chain reaction exponentially. To end the chain reaction, you simply remove or separate the fuel rods. This caused the atomic particles shooting off from their atoms to miss other atoms. The first example of the forest fire precludes any chain reaction from occurring in the atmosphere, whether it be fission or fusion. There would be no way to stop it. Therefore, if a nuclear explosion was possible, it would have to develop inside the bomb housing. The second example of the pressure cooker tells us that if a chain reaction occurred within a bomb, it can only become powerful enough to destroy the bomb housing. It is not possible for the buildup of energy to become more powerful than is necessary to destroy the bomb housing, because as soon as it is able to destroy the housing, it does so. The explosion would then destroy the fuel necessary to maintain the chain reaction, ending the chain reaction. The fusion bomb or hydrogen bomb is the most problematic. The fusion bomb is said to be 100 times more powerful than an atomic bomb. We are told it takes a conventional explosion to detonate an atomic weapon, and that it takes an atomic weapon to detonate a hydrogen weapon. Supposedly, an atomic explosion will instantly create a temperature of almost 1,000,000 degrees, certainly hundreds of thousands of degrees, along with a shockwave powerful enough to blow a barn to pieces. The fusion bomb and the atomic bomb are contained in the same housing, only feet apart. There is no part of the fusion bomb that can withstand temperatures of even 3,000 degrees. In fact, the uranium-235, which is the fuel of the hydrogen bomb, is processed to be highly unstable. Therefore, the instant the atomic bomb goes off, it disintegrates the fusion bomb. It would turn it to dust and blow it apart before any chain reaction could occur. Theoretically, a nuclear bomb is possible, but in order to be powerful, it would have to be massive, the size of a building. Conveniently, the signature mushroom cloud of a nuclear bomb looks exactly like a large conventional explosion, so it would be easy to fake a nuclear attack, especially with state-of-the-art computer graphics and the mainstream media reporting the government line. This possibility is very frightening indeed. People will say that a deception of this size is impossible. There are many good arguments to support this. However, none of these arguments change the science. Nations claim there is a secret process that makes these weapons possible, and we can never be certain that there is not. But the leap between the obvious limitations of a powerful nuclear explosion and any solution is so great that it seems very unlikely there is a solution. Very few people know the big secret of how these devices actually work. There are thousands of components to a nuclear bomb. Teams of scientists work on each component and only know how their component works. Would government engage in such a colossal conspiracy? There is a lot of evidence that they have engaged in several colossal lies, yet not quite on the same scale as the assertion that nations could end civilization in hours simply by pressing buttons. Germany tried and failed to develop an atomic weapon and gave up, concluding that it was not possible. Of course, we have been told they simply ran out of time. Taiwan tried and failed to develop nuclear weapons, yet somehow North Korea succeeded. And why isn't South Korea worried about North Korea's growing nuclear arsenal? There is no indication that South Korea is building nuclear weapons. So is everyone lying? I believe so. It would not be that difficult to lie because there are very few people in every nuclear power that know the truth. If, for example, Pakistan and India are faking their nuclear tests and lying about being a nuclear power, that doesn't mean that they know the US or Russia are also faking it. It is likely that even presidents and prime ministers, as well as top military leaders, believe nuclear weapons work. During World War II, when the atomic bomb was being developed, the two most powerful people in the United States were President Franklin Roosevelt and General Dwight D. Eisenhower. They would have known the truth. However, President Roosevelt died before the end of the war, and Vice President Harry Truman became president. He may have been lied to if the military decided to convince the world that the U.S. had a nuclear weapon. President Eisenhower may have given his warning of an out-of-control military-industrial complex because he knew that nuclear weapons didn't work and how badly the citizens were being frightened and cheated. It is probable that after Eisenhower, the government was kept in the dark about nuclear weapons. I have no doubt that JFK believed that nuclear weapons were real. Nuclear weapons seem to be a Cold War hoax designed to control the world and steal as much taxpayer dollars as is possible. So far, the reality and impact of nuclear weapons in the world would be the same whether they work or not. The balance of power in the world today is hinged on the belief that nuclear weapons exist. The world is going to learn whether or not nuclear weapons exist very soon if this war between Israel and Iran continues much longer. If Israel doesn't use nuclear weapons, we will know that they don't have any, and why wouldn't they, with a close ally like the United States? Thank you.